If you own or have owned a piece of Fanatec equipment, you will no doubt be familiar with the issues with the infamous QR1. Clacking, the need to use a retention bolt, and some users wrapping it in tape to stop it from slipping. However, Fanatec have just released the QR2. Is this the answer to all of our problems? Touted as a motorsport grade quick release system and in some of the variants FIA compatible, is this going to be enough to win back the hearts and minds of those Fanatec consumers frustrated by the previous QR1? Let's find out. Let's jump straight into the unboxing. So here we have the QR2 base side Type M. Now it's important to note there are two different variants for this. This in particular is for the Fanatec DD1 and DD2. If you have a CSL DD, you will need the slightly cheaper QR2 base side Type C. Let's just have a quick look at all the offerings before we continue. When you head to Fanatec's website and search QR2, you're going to be met with a plethora of things to confuse you. Now, the difference between the QR2 Pro and QR2 wheel side is pretty negligible. They're both aluminium, they both can support high torque wheelbases. One is gold coloured and FIA compatible. I hate myself because I'm a sucker and I bought the gold one like many of you will. Yeah, I'm just going to have to live with that. The QR2 base side Type M, which is what we've got, and as I said just before, the Type C is for the other CSL DD wheelbases. Then there's all sorts of different bundle offers which you can get involved with. You're just going to have to pick your price point. We'll get into whether this is worth the price or not. Ultimately, this is the only option to upgrade it. So if you want to stay in the Fanatec ecosystem, this is the way forward. I would highly recommend going on Fanatec's website yourself just to figure out what exact combination you need, and I will leave some affiliate links down below if you wish to support the channel. It helps keep TTR running. That would be very much appreciated. Let's head back to the unboxing. My biggest bugbear with the Type M, and probably the other one if I had it, is this. They give you an Allen key, and they say in the instructions you've got to torque this up to your wheelbase to 10 Newton meters. Now that sounds pretty critical to me, considering that's the main thing that's driving the rotational torque to your steering wheel, so it sounds pretty crucial that that's accurate. You can't tell people to tighten something to a wheelbase, give a spec of 10 Newton meters and not include the tool. I just think at this price point, when you're asking people to pay 200 euros for a pro wheel side, and you're asking people to pay 150 euros for a base side, to not include a 6 euro torque wrench is nuts. I'm hoping somebody sees this at Fanatec, so you guys need to sort that out. I went out and bought a torque wrench myself. I'll show you that when I set it up in just a little moment. But for me, I think that's a necessity. Otherwise, you don't know whether you're under-tightening it or over-tightening it. Interestingly, for the wheel side as well, it also gives a spec of tightening things to 1 Newton meter and 3 Newton meter. Now, I'll let this slide. 1 Newton meter, they could have included a little torque wrench for that, and you can include a single unit non-adjustable torque wrench, which I would argue probably wouldn't cost too much. But where we need to torque it up to 3 Newton meters, you can't really fit a torque wrench in, so I'll let that one slide. But ultimately for this, I would have expected a lot better from a premium product such as this, considering it's FIA compatible. Not impressed. However, the build quality of this, I am impressed with. I do think it's overpriced. This is 200 euros, the other one is 100 euros. I think 150 euros as the price point for this probably would have been a lot better. You're just paying for the gold anodized aluminium and also the fact it's FIA compatible. Let's jump straight into how we're going to attach this to the wheelbase. Now, I highly recommend looking at Fanatec's videos for this because they are quite good, and I use these as reference. All we're doing is taking the screws off the back, and I'll just talk you through the process. This isn't going to be an in-depth how-to guide. Again, this is part of the review. If you're doing a Fanatec V2, this is really sticky, so I thought I hadn't adjusted something, but as you can see, I did manage to get it off. Be careful of the pins here because you don't want to damage them. Now, at this point, you will be giving an Allen key to take off the pins that attach to where the pin base is, and then you need to gently lift that metal disc off. Try not to touch the pins. We almost succeeded with that. There we go. Then what you want to do is you're giving a plastic ring to slot on top. You want to make sure you don't touch the pins again, and just line these up to the screw holes. Now, look at the instructions, because depending on your wheel, depends on whether you reuse the screws you just took out or you use the new ones that they gave you. In this case with the V2, I'm using the ones that they gave me because that's what they tell us to do. These should be torqued up to 1 Newton meter, so I advise doing this finger tight. So that's what we talk in orthopedic world. Just finger tight, and then gently slot the QR2 wheel side over it. This only goes one way. If you do it the other side, if you do it the other way around, it won't slot in properly, so make sure you're doing it the right way. Once this is seated, you then want to take the bolts that you removed the first time round, and then you want to tighten these up. Now, these are recommended to be tightened to 3 Newton meter. I had a torque wrench for this. You can't fit it in under there, so you're going to have to guess it. So again, just a little bit more than finger tight, so just a little bit, but what you don't want to do is over tighten these and cross thread them. I probably think this is less critical than the wheelbase side, because you can always tighten these up a little bit. But if you've got a DD2, you know, that thing chucks out 25 Newton meters of torque. And this is it, all nice and attached. So it looks pretty cool, and as you can see, it's a lot slicker than the other QR1. Let's just jump into how we attach this. So here we are just undoing the original column. So you don't want to undo this completely. You just want to undo it so it's loose, and then you can gently manipulate the old QR1 off. Again, I'm going to leave links to the Fanatec instructions in my description below, because you just want to gently untwist this, and I highly recommend following them because I've seen some YouTubers not do this correctly, and it's clear they haven't read the instructions. Now you want to unwind this roughly about 10 times because the wires are coiled up. So you want to be real gentle with this. Again, I'm petrified about dealing with anything with this because this wheelbase is pretty expensive and I don't really want to kind of replace it. So this is kind of, you know, twitchy bum time. You're going to be met with 2 connectors here that you want to have completely unwound. Now, read the instructions because you're going to have one short and one long. The short wire connects to the long wire on the new QR2, and the long wire connects to the short wire on the new QR2. Once you take off the short wire here, base side, do not let it go because this thing will ping straight back into the wheelbase, and you don't want that to happen because it's going to be a world of pain. Make sure you attach the cable before letting go, and here we are just connecting the other one. So this is the long wire to the short wire of the QR2 base side. We've just taken it off, and here we are just docking it. These are quite stiff, so again, just give it a bit of oomph, but you will get a click. And then what you're going to do is you're going to want to gently wind this roughly about 10 times, and that's going to coil those connectors right back into the wheelbase. Again, a lot of this took a fair bit of force, so you know it's a bit disconcerting, particularly this bit when you're trying to push it in. So as you can see here, I've got a fair bit of body weight behind that, and you want to push it so it's nice and flush. The collar that sits around this, there is a line on the collar that it sits on that you need to line up. Again, please look at the Fanatec review or look at the instructions because it will tell you how to do it. And you want to basically equally tighten it on both sides, making sure that both are equal in diameter. That's the gap I'm talking about. Then what you want to do is, this is my torque wrench. I'll leave a link to that in the description below, just if you want to use the same one I did. It's relatively cheap, cost me £30 on Amazon, and I'm just happy that I know it's torqued to 10 Newton meters. If you're happy avoiding that, go forth and conquer. Overall, the assembly process was not too difficult, as long as you read the instructions. I felt that the whole thing was rather painless, although there were a couple of tricky moments, and my big bugbear, again, I'm labouring it, you can't give a Newton meter spec to torque something up with the bolts we see in this picture here and not include it. Because I don't think a lot of people are going to have a torque wrench just sitting around. Now, I've got a lot of tools and I didn't have one, so I had to go out and buy one. The most important thing is, how does this work when you're using it? Now, like a lot of people, I went through the conundrum, do I upgrade my existing system's quick release or do I just shift ecosystem? I had it out on a big piece of paper and I was balancing Simucube, Azatec, looking at all of the different options, and then for me, the price of getting the wheels I would want, changing the wheelbase over, getting the attachments for the P1X to shift the wheelbase over, it just didn't make financial sense, even if I managed to sell all of my existing Fanatec gear. So if the QR2 does work as it is described, it would solve a lot of the issues. Now, as you can see, we're using WRC, the latest game from EA, to demonstrate this. Now, I'm using this because when I played Rally before in Dirt Rally 2.0, I didn't enjoy it with the QR1, because with the sharp movements in the steering wheels, particularly at high torque, I'd get a lot of clacking and banging, and it's just, I felt that the QR1 was a little bit loose for me. That's even with the retention bolt. I also found it quite difficult to get the wheel both on and off the QR1, which inhibited me from changing wheels on the fly and trying different things in different sims. As you can see here, this is very easy to get on and off, and it's definitely going to encourage me to use my wheels a little bit more. More importantly, there's no flex, and this is rock solid, and as I'm kind of careening around these corners here, I guess I am feeling a little bit more force feedback just because of the rigidity of the column. Two things I do need to mention is that one, I would like a definitive click when you attach this thing. There was a couple of times where I put it on and I wasn't sure it had attached. You don't hear a which would have been nice. And the elephant in the room, which has to be addressed, which definitely impacted me. I bought these from Fanatec, and as far as they're aware, I'm still frustrated because I haven't received my product. I sent them 3 emails and I got no notification of a distribution of shipment. I know they're having issues with their logistics at the moment, but from a customer service point of view, wasn't very happy with it if I'm honest. So please bear that in mind if you're choosing to place your order. At present, they are still having issues and I have yet to receive an email response from them. Is it worth the money they're asking for? I think wheel side, it's probably fairly priced. I do think the QR2 Pro is astronomically priced for the sake of a bit of gold and the fact it's FIA compatible. Am I a little bit annoyed with myself that I bought it? Yes, I am. Does it make me smile because it matches all my other stuff? Yes, a little bit. That's a decision you're going to have to make for yourself. Whether you want to stay in the Fanatec ecosystem is a question only you can answer. For me, I'm very happy with this. Yes, it was expensive. Yes, I do think it's a bit overpriced, but ultimately, it does what it says on the tin. Let me know what you guys think of the QR2 down below. Are you going to get it? Is it something you're looking forward to? Let me know what you think. Take it easy. Bye for now.